All right, good morning everybody. I'm Kat. This is my Cat Star Music Studio, and today we're going to be talking about posture again. Just yesterday I had two students in the studio and we were talking quite a bit about posture. We do that a lot here because you may not think about it, but playing a musical instrument is a pretty physical activity. It's kind of athletic. And so if our posture isn't pretty spot on, it can lead to injury over time and stress on the body and pain and discomfort, numbness, tingling, all of these things that we really want to avoid. And it's kind of a passion of mine to seek out tension and help students release it before it becomes a problem in their playing. That's why I am sort of a self-described technique freak in lessons. So I'm going to talk about one of the biggest things that I see as a postural issue, not just with my students, but kind of like at large in society today, and that is the shoulder roll inward. I'm sure you've seen it, as we're texting on our phones or working on our laptops or doing anything with our hands, we tend to collapse in on the pectoral muscles and stretch these back muscles, our trapezius, and get this rolled shoulder action here. And so eventually what this ends up doing is making us turtle. So you end up with this hunched spine here and the chin protruding, and it generally doesn't feel great. Generally you end up with headaches or pain in the upper back, that sort of thing. So I want to talk about how to relieve that pressure and start correcting that posture on a daily basis. So we got two things working here. We have muscles on the front of the body and muscles on the back of the body. Now, you might notice that you've got this postural issue going on if you have strain or knots back here. Maybe you get someone to start rubbing your shoulders and you're like, oh, I didn't know that hurt. Back here in this muscle group up here. Another way you might notice it is if you have concavity in your shoulders. Like you might have a little shadow right here where your shoulder is coming in front of your collarbone. Really, what we ought to see when we're standing up straight is a plumb line from our ear to our shoulder to our hip to our heel. As if we're like all walking around perfect, like no one does. So what we have to do is work on stretching and opening the shoulders and relaxing these back muscles, because what happens over time is these back muscles become stretched to their limit. Now, you know how you feel when you're stretched to your limit. You're not a happy camper, right? Like these muscles, when they're stretched, they're tender and they're not happy. And so one really good exercise that my old chiropractor showed me was to make a W with your arms, pretend you're squishing a tennis ball between your shoulder blades, and then try to stick your elbows in your back pockets. Feels amazing, especially after you've been sitting at a computer for a while. Now, you just want to do this a little bit at first because you're waking up muscles that have probably been asleep for a long time. What happens over time is these muscles become stretched. They become dehydrated. The blood flow isn't really there. The brain just kind of stop sending messages to them because the messages haven't been getting through for so long. It's like wasted effort. And so when we start waking these muscles up, it might hurt. Now, I don't want you to do anything that really, really hurts, okay? So use your own judgment. But just kind of start slow, start waking these muscles up, get them to wake up a little bit, and then Start doing a counter stretch on the front of your body. Take this hand, put it on a door jamb, and begin stretching the front of your body gently, okay? Start opening up that shoulder. Now, I should go ahead and tell you, I'm not a doctor, super duper not a doctor. I'm just a music teacher, but I have spent the last 11 years watching people's posture very intently in private music lessons to help them avoid injury, reduce stress, figure out where they're holding tension and release it, and make the most efficient use of their effort to make good tone on whatever instrument they're playing. And these are things I see time and time again as we tend to hunch forward on whatever instrument we're playing. Especially bad on guitarists. Oh, guitarists. We love to like wrap our bodies around the instrument. Mandolin players, banjo players, we love to do that. So those are just two simple things you could do. The W exercise to wake up those trapezius muscles back here and get them working for you. Just get them firing again. Get your brain to recognize them again. And then start stretching the opposite muscles in the front of the body, your pectoral muscles. Get this to open up in the chest area. Now, there's some tools that I like to use to help aid in relaxing the muscles, but also breaking up some of the fascia. Now, that may or may not be a term that you're familiar with. Fascia is this substance that kind of goes through all the muscles, but it's not a muscle. And it goes through our organs, but it's like not an organ. It's kind of the redheaded stepchild of the medical world. No one knows that, like, who's supposed to claim it. And its job is to be this integrating fabric that kind of goes through everything and keeps everything secure. And what happens is when we experience a trauma, a wreck, an injury, a jarring event, an emotional trauma, the fascia will clamp down on our muscles, on our organs. And the problem comes when the fascia doesn't get the memo that it's now time to relax. And so then we get things like fascial adhesions, where the fascia will clump together. And this will cause pain even when you don't feel like a muscular knot. You can still get like a weird crunchy kind of pain in your body, and you can't quite figure out how to stretch it out or how to kind of work it out. So I've got some tools that I really like for getting rid of fascial ickiness. Okay, you've probably seen these little guys. They're basically like glorified tennis balls. And what they're great for is, we've talked about loosening up the trapezius by waking it up and getting the blood flow. You can also lay on these balls no more than 5 minutes and use your judgment. If it hurts, if it's numb, quit. But you just kind of roll around and find the crunchy spots and get all that to wake up. There's also this thing called a fascia blaster. Now, I don't sell these, but I kind of wish I did. They're pretty amazing. I read this book by Ashley Black called It's Not Fat, It's Fascia. And it made a lot of sense to me. You might check it out about fascia and how it just kind of gets knotted up. And the idea behind this is you use an oil of some sort on your skin, and then you brush this along your skin so that it kind of gets into the muscle at the fascia and helps to kind of straighten it back out and get rid of some of those adhesions. I've had a lot of luck with this, especially in my shoulders and where you've got all this connective tissue between your neck muscles and where that goes up into your cranium. You gotta be careful up in there. There's some nerves and whatnot, but again, keep using your judgment. That's been really helpful for me. And then, okay, so this is like $80. this was an investment. But if you want to just start really small, this guy's like $8. Now the top of it broke off within like 5 minutes, but the rest of it has been super useful. And I'll put a link to this in the description or in the whatever's below here. This was like $8, same exact tool, just much, much smaller, which kind of makes it more useful for getting up into some good spots here. So I hope this has been useful. I could talk for hours about this stuff because I think it's so interesting and relates so much to anything we do musically and kind of just in life. Like if you work on a computer all day long, you're gonna run into these postural issues. So please, if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. I'd love to hear from you and hear if this is helpful. Thanks.